LBS has 70 nationalities on campus. Some of these people, I can already tell you, they will be big in the next few decades. If not soon. So he was an ex-Formula 1 racer and he's doing an MBA here. So MBAT is basically MBA Tournament. It's an MBA Olympics. So I was representing LBS for cricket and FIFA. So this time, after 12 years, LBS brought the trophy home. I think for the last couple of years, if I'm not wrong, Oxford was winning the tournament. Ever since, I've been in the world because we are migrants. We were forced out of Kashmir in 1990. I think it was the third wave of COVID, which was the worst wave of COVID. My grandmother was in a difficult position, but she came out of it, thankfully. But my father really couldn't.
What goes behind the scenes to make the stories that you can then put into your essay?
And given the job market that you have here, especially in the UK, I think you need to be very, very motivating to people around you.
Hello aspirants. Welcome to another episode of Videshi Chai. We are back with another guest, Asheem Jinsi, a student at the renowned London Business School. Asheem's journey witnessed many ups and downs. His family was affected during the exodus of Kashmiri Hindus, leading them to move from Jammu to Chandigarh. Growing up, Asheem understood the value of a good education. Today, he has a BTech degree from the prestigious Punjab Engineering College and a rich 6 years of experience working with McKinsey Company. It was here that he got international exposure and the inspiration to study abroad. Although he planned to travel for studies in 2020, COVID changed his plans. In this episode, we'll chat with Asheem and understand how he built a profile that got him into a top B school in the world. We'll also ask him, what's it like to be a part of a prestigious institution? Well, let's meet Asheem.
I love data. It resolves misinformation. Let's talk to experts, analyze news, and smartly plan your study abroad journey. Hello aspirants, welcome to Videshi Chai.
Hi Asheem, welcome to Videshi Chai.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Right, so I know you are pursuing you're in London, pursuing your B school from MBA from London Business School, which is one of the top schools in the world, of course. And what I understand is with Londoners, it's difficult to start the conversation by asking about the weather. So, hey, how's it going? How's the weather?
Very, very good and very pertinent question. Right when you asked me this question, I looked out of the window to confirm because it changes by the minute. It can be very sunny and very beautiful, and then in a few moments, it's all dark and then it's about to rain. So fortunately, the last few weeks have been fairly pleasant, a lot more sun. The last 2 days, it was raining torrentially throughout those 2 days. But I've gotten used to it. It's very different to the kind of weather you used to, at least if you're from North India. I can't speak to people who are from Bombay or from Bangalore. But it's different. And given what's happening back home right now with the weather, I would say it's different in a good way and not in a bad way. Because it's pretty hot out there right now.
You're absolutely right. I'm here in Delhi. It's 43 degrees Celsius. It is very hot.
I video call my mom and she starts perspiring on the video call within a minute. And I'm assuming also when she is using the AC, as all parents are, she's reluctant to reduce it to a level which is too cold. So kind of, that makes sense. But I understand. It's pretty hot.
Yeah, right. So it's been 7-8 months into your MBA?
That is correct. So I started in August, in the middle of August, and then you start right away. You start with your core courses in the first couple of terms up until, let's say, December. And then starting January, you have what LBS has is fairly unique to an MBA program. So they have a set of tailored core courses and a bunch of electives in the start of your first year, in January. So tailored course list of courses which you can choose from, but it's still part of your core, but it's tailored to your needs. So you can pick and choose from a list of courses and get those minimum credits required. And then electives work as any other electives do in any other university. So there are a list of courses, again, you get to pick and you have to, obtain a minimum number of credits for those electives. And it's not a necessary requirement to have an elective in your first year, but you can take up to 5 electives in first year too. So I'm in a position now, I think, almost 9 months into the program. I've chosen, I think, wisely. I've been learning a lot and just looking forward to the second year too, because it's going to be very different to the first year. So the MBA is very different in a MBA. The first year is very different to the second year.
All right. So course-wise, what's been your favorite course so far?
I think this is a tailored course that I refer to. I think this was something I took on in February and March. So quite recent. So the name of the course is Digital Strategy. And it's basically about what multi-sided platforms are and what do you have to keep in mind when thinking of evaluating a multi-sided platform such as an Uber or a Netflix, and what are those sides to that platform, what are network effects, So that is a course that I thoroughly enjoyed. The professor was impeccable. And I can't stop talking about that.
And besides studying, what are some of the memories that you've made at your life at LBS so far that you will cherish and remember for a long time?
Great question. So I think for an MBA program and for a city like London, a lot of memories will depend on the kind of people you have around you. And fortunately enough, I have found these people here at the program, which, I can speak to in a way that I can't speak of any other people that I've met throughout my life. So they are brilliant people from all over the world. LBS has 70 nationalities on campus. And then you get to stay around them, listen their views, learn from them. So the kind of environment I had, not just in the city, but in terms of the classroom and in terms of just sheer presence of these people, that you have in your life, was something I will always cherish, because I found these friendships from all over the world that, I would have probably never ever. And this is something I'm really going to, kind of take away from this whole LBS MBA experience. Some of these people, I can already tell you, they will be big in the next few decades, if not soon. Some of them are very big already. So another key memory that I will take away from this experience is that, there are people who are extremely humble and extremely nice, but then they have already achieved so much that, it kind of makes you think as to what are the kind of characteristics that you want to take away in a future that you think where you might also be successful and you'll command a level of authority. At the same time, you stay humble and you stay true to your personality. That was, always the case. So, for example, I have in one of my classrooms that I kind of partake in, I have an MBA member who is an ex-Formula 1 driver. So he was an ex-Formula 1 driver and he's doing an MBA here. And likewise, you have people from these absolutely, varied industries and backgrounds that you get to spend time with and learn from. So that is a key takeaway that I'll have. I think on top of that, what I'd also like to mention are some experiences that have been fascinating. So I got to go to this case competition in Barcelona, which was hosted by IESE. So the business school in Barcelona. It's currently ranked in the top 2 or top 3, if I'm not wrong, by Financial Times. And then when I visited their campus, I kind of felt why, because their campus is absolutely beautiful. It's almost Harvard-esque, and I think it's kind of a Harvard twin. So that makes sense too. So it was a very pleasant experience. It was a case competition organized by Rodenberger, the consulting firm based out of Germany, the only European consulting firm, or the only big European consulting firm. And it was basically a treat to, go there, solve a case as a sponsored, competitor. So everything was taken care by the firm. And to, again, network with students from across campuses and schools was a great experience. And lastly, something that I like to talk about is a competition that happened a week or week and a half ago. And it's called MBAT. So MBAT is basically MBA Tournament. It's an MBA Olympics. So all top B schools in the European Economic Zone, they come together in HEC Paris, and then they compete over a 3-day weekend. And then the competitions are primarily about sports.
Nice.
And esports, So I was representing LBS for cricket and FIFA. And similarly, you will have, multitudes of competitions happening parallelly, almost like a mini Olympics, as is the name. So this time, after 12 years, LBS brought the trophy home. So we won the competition.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I think for the last couple of years, if I'm not wrong, Oxford was winning the tournament. But this is the first time in 12 years that we have won it again. And again, a great memory. It was a very, very, very nice experience.
I can imagine. I'm so happy to hear that cricket was one of the games there.
Yeah, it is. It is gaining momentum. We have a cricket club here. So LBS has almost 80 plus clubs on campus, includes both academic or career-focused clubs as extracurricular clubs. Cricket club is one of those clubs. We are in England, so I don't think that comes as a surprise. And fortunately, with cricket penetrating the US market, with the World Cup happening there, and Major League Cricket also coming up, I think cricket will become a lot more popular and we'll have more people playing the sport. So that is a good takeaway.
Yeah. So I understand while you're as a student at LBS, you are also offering your services, if you will, as a student mentor on Top 8. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how do you manage? So that's, kind of like a freelance job as well as being a student. Is that a difficult balance for you?
So to choose the MBA life means that you have chosen a life where it will always be difficult to balance things because you'll always be amongst a lot of stuff happening around you. But that is something I was already aware of. And thankfully, my previous job kind of attuned me to the idea of juggling a lot of things at the same time. So with that in mind, I mean, mentoring students, mentoring folks, colleagues is something that I enjoy. It gives me a sense of satisfaction that, something like, normal career or a normal professional life where I'm just focusing on myself doesn't really give me. And B, I just feel in the last few years, I have changed as a person or grown as a person enough to think that this comes naturally to me. So anyone I speak to, I just try to be as motivating and as encouraging as I can. And given the job market that you have here, especially in the UK, I think you need to be very, very motivating to people around you because it's very easy to get demotivated. So on TopMates, I just came across that platform, I think through an email. It was an email marketing from the founder himself who's very active. And I just went through the proposition. I really liked it. And I was thinking about setting up something like this for myself already. But now to have a dashboard that you can create very easy. I tried to, give it a go. And I've had a number of conversations already with people who are interested in, doing an MBA or just studying abroad or, they have questions around these things while they're evaluating what they want to do. And I just have found it helpful to give them my perspective and certain advice around my perspective too. So
It's very cool. Yeah. And, given that you are a mentor and you give advice to students, what is something that you would like to share as an advice to our viewers who are also going to be mostly students?
Absolutely. So speaking specifically to the aspiration of studying abroad, I would say for students who are coming out of India, again, very specific to the market that we have back home, I'd say you have to be very resilient and you have to be patient because these are traits that are not very easily, kind of absorbable with the kind of experiences we have back home. We tend to be fairly impatient, and especially because people around us, they move forward and then we feel like, why are we not moving forward? So what I'm trying to say is that you see people progressing, be it in their own jobs or be it, trying to transition into a different economy through an MBA or any other master or any other. But you are trying and it's probably not happening for you in that point in time. And then you kind of retire to the thought of maybe not pursuing this at all. So what I'm trying to say is that you just have to stay determined and resilient because everyone has their own pace and their own timeline in their lives. And everyone has a different story. And it's not almost always about the absolute merit that you bring to the table when you're applying to a school. It's very much about what is happening at that point in time relatively across the globe as well. So for example, in the year that I started, which is last year, and I'm assuming this year too, and this is a statistic I'm sure you can corroborate, but I think there will be a lot more applications to B schools and schools where people want to study after they've already had some experiences because this is the time when firms are not really hiring and firms and big firms don't really have a lot of good projects. So they're focusing a lot more on cost cutting and cost optimization. So with that in mind, people who are working in a firm that can either sponsor them or people who are working in a firm from which they wanted to get out, they can focus on spending this time where they can't really, acquire any new learnings or, will probably just stay on the bench and spend that time, focusing on an education that they always wanted to. And then come back in a year or 2 years when the market is hot and then join the workforce again. So if you are applying in this point in time, the competition will be high. So you have to brace yourself for that. And you have to accept the fact that it's okay that you might not get the most optimum admission that you were looking for. And at the same time, what I'd say is that with staying resilient and with staying determined, you have to hedge your bets. Something that I didn't do for reasons that I can come to later as well. But it's always a good strategy to apply to at least, I would say, schools that are your top dream schools, then schools which are realistic, and then schools which are your safety net. And what this at the minimum helps you with is it gives you bargaining power when you're negotiating for scholarships or when you are negotiating for probably even a deferral for a circumstance that comes out of nowhere. So there are many reasons to be strategic in your application process. And even before the application process, let's zoom out. A lot of these programs will require for you to take a test, be it the GMAT or the GEE. Again, that whole process of studying for it, taking the test, finding a score which might just not be optimum, then going through the same exercise again while you're working or while you're studying in a school already, it is challenging.
Yeah.
It is not easy, but you have to accept that it is not easy, even though people around you might be getting good scores. So you have to acknowledge where your level is, and you have to be okay with the fact that you are not probably at the level that you think you can be, but then you have to keep adding on to it day by day and just take it one day at a time, and just take it one challenge at a time is what I'd say, because there are a lot of challenges towards achieving that goal of, finding that ideal job, moving abroad, studying abroad, anything in life, but break it down and take it step by step.
Yeah, makes sense. So if I had to just paraphrase that, because there's a lot of wealth piled into that set of advice that you mentioned. So one, face adversity with positivity.
Yeah.
Two, when you're applying, hedge your bets. So be strategic about where you want to apply. And the same can also be sort of extended to other parts of your study abroad journey as well, not just the application. And these are the two key takeaways, themes that I noticed there. Anything else that you think I missed that we should sort of underline for our viewers?
I think a third key takeaway amidst all that I shared would be to treat yourself well, because it's very easy to put a lot of pressure on yourselves. I've spoken to people who were applying to 6 schools at the same time, and they were splurging money left, right, and center. But then you have to understand that there is only so much you can do in a specific amount of time. And under stress, you might just not be able to paint the best picture that you want to paint in that application. So just don't overwhelm yourself with the amount of tasks that might be necessary. So definitely take care of yourself throughout that journey, and perpetually for that matter.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's jump a bit back to your backstory, I think.
Sure.
So I understand you completed your undergrad from PEC, or the Punjab Engineering College.
Yes.
And you did that despite having a very good rank in the joint entrance exam for the IITs as well. So why did you choose PEC?
Yes. This is something I might just be able to answer retrospectively, because when I actually chose that college, I might not have known the exact reason why I was choosing it, because I was fairly young. I think one of the biggest reasons was that it was not too far away from where I was, based. It was a car ride away, and I think that definitely influenced my decision. My parents used to teach me about that fact, and I would really, kind of nudge them away and say, okay, that's not why I chose the school. There are many other reasons too. But I retrospectively speaking, I think it was the that I could have, commuted between school and my home. And that was a big reason. And other reasons would include, at that point in time, at least, I'm not sure where the school stands right now. There has been a lot of investment in the school. I don't know what that has done to its ranking. But I think when I first started researching the school, I think it was in the top 20 list of schools in that particular, cohort of engineering schools in India. Maybe touched 20, I'm not sure exactly. But it was a good school. Very recently, some good alumni had come out of the school. And let me think of another reason that was very close to my heart. So I had a few friends also who I was preparing with, and they also were thinking of taking up that particular school. So I think all of this came together into that choice, and that's how I chose engineering college for my undergrad. I could have potentially, taken up a seat at an IIT, but given that I come from a GEM background, a general engineering male background, I might not have received a very, very good branch that I would have really wanted to study in for that rank, and maybe not even the best of the best IITs. What does that mean in terms of where I could have been in life? I don't know, but I don't even think I can. Because how it has turned out to be for me through my journey at PEC, I'm very happy.
Yeah, very cool. Right. So, and after your engineering degree at PEC, you went to work at McKinsey.
Yes.
And how was that experience? And at one point in your journey with them, did you decide that, hey, B-School is the path for me?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it'll be a story, I think. So when you are in your 6th, 7th, and 8th standards in school, you're focusing on the courses that you are studying. And from the point of view of your family, it's a lot more about, especially in a traditional Indian household, it's a lot more about getting good grades and getting to learn exactly what you want to learn and work towards in your life. So from that point of view, I used to get good grades in most of the courses that I would have as a young student in a school. And given how much weightage was given to science as a subject area, I was naturally pushed towards pursuing something in science. And that naturally moved into pursuing engineering after high school. So once I was in my senior secondary school and I started preparing for the exam, I wasn't thinking about what engineering as an undergraduate program would mean. It was all about getting into a school and having the option to choose a school. And for that, you just needed to study those same subjects at a depth which is far higher than would be in the school. But it's something that you just actually focus on and don't focus on what the program will do to you, what it mean to you. And then cut to being at Tech and undergoing all of those courses which are a part of that program, electrical engineering. Over time, I was now in a state of mind where I could just think through on what is it that I'm actually doing now, what lies next, what lies ahead of me.
Yeah.
And it was fairly, I would say, kind of like a black box. I couldn't really imagine myself, working in the engineering department for some firm or researching. It just didn't come naturally to me. So as most students in an engineering school do, I kind of dissociated myself with the course curriculums and I started focusing a lot more on extracurriculars. So I was a part of the Speakers Association and Study Circle. It's called the SAS Club at Tech, which is the equivalent of a debating society of the TEPSOC. I would help organize parliamentary debates, participate in them. Some jam sessions, public speaking and all of that. That really got to me. I really enjoyed speaking. I really enjoyed speaking with people. It didn't come naturally to me. I was fairly shy. Yeah. But I tried to always put myself out there, uncomfortable positions to learn from positions and then become comfortable over time. And that's what got me to another domain within our college, which is the annual cultural festival called Tech Fest. So it's a big festival, happens over the weekend. It's roughly budgeted at around $40,000. It's the sponsorship that you get as a student yourselves by going out there to different brands, and some of the money comes from the school. So I really enjoyed that whole experience. I was part of the marketing team and a part of the logistics team as well. And it's just something I really enjoyed doing, finding sponsors to them, getting them onboarded, ensuring that their experience during the festival is really worth the money that they're paid. And so is the case for people to come and enjoy the festival. For 3 days in the college when the festival would be live, us as the org team would not really enjoy the festival. We'd just take care of everything and solve the mess that would come up out of nowhere. And that kind of problem solving really appealed to me. So, and this is where coincidentally, I think I had an offer from Indian Oil Adani Gas at the start of my final year. But towards the end of my final year, there was this opportunity that came up from McKinsey. And at that point, I wasn't aware what McKinsey is or what it does, to be very honest. I come from an engineering background, from a family which is not very, attuned to how businesses really work. All of my family members have either worked in a small corporate setup, or my mom, for example, is a school teacher. Now she's become the vice principal of a school. But kind of global business sphere, how it works or who helps them wasn't really something I was aware of. So this firm came in and someone just told me to just, share my resume with them so that they can just put it in and I can try it out. While that happened and I got a call back for an interview, I spent time on understanding what they do. Spend time on looking into and reflecting on my own objectives for myself and these learnings that I've taken away in these 4 years. And I thought, I don't think I will really enjoy what people do in those engineering setups as a graduate engineer. Let me give it a short shot and then let's take it from there. So I prepared very hard for the interview and I got the job and I wrote that email to the HR for that firm. And I think they never responded to my email. By the way. And I started at McKinsey and I thoroughly loved it. I stayed there for 6 years. I think a set of skills that I've learned and the set of experiences that I've gained speak to the amount of time I've spent there. Even though it can be hard, it's a demanding job. It's a demanding company. But to have stayed there, I think speaks to the kind of experience that I was getting out of, my engagement with people from all over the world. Fortunately, the kind of access that firm gives to you is just phenomenal. So I would just say this is broadly the answer to the question that you asked me. And this is how I think I also chose MBA as the next step for myself, is because I don't come from a traditional business background, be it growing up in a family which has nothing to do with business, or doing my undergraduate in a program which has nothing to do with business. And I come from, again, a community that focuses and emphasizes on education a lot.
Right.
For me, having another formal, you would say, stamp of, credibility that, I have studied exactly what I'm working in was very important. And I really wanted to learn what the MBA teaches you, because I looked it up and researched it and talked to a lot of people, and I've been doing that for a very long time. So that's how I chose this program as the natural next step.
Got it. Was there any particular occasion or event that said that an MBA is the way to go? Was there an inspiration for you, or as you narrated in your answer, it was more of a gradual understanding that came through your experience at McKinsey?
I would answer it for both the MBA and then at London Business School. For the MBA specifically, across schools, it came to me because I was speaking to all of these wonderfully, successful people within the firm who, when they talk, you really listen. And that really was something I really aspired towards. I really wanted to be someone, when you talk, people really listen and pay attention. And what I do is, so there is this internal platform at McKinsey called Know, which is like an internal directory. You can look up people there, their background there. It's like an internal LinkedIn, basically.
Sure, yeah.
And whoever I'd work with, there is an obligation to kind of look them up, see what they've done, what is their area of expertise. Yeah. And for most of the people that I speak with, I would find this one commonality, that they would have an MBA from a very good school. This is a function of the school, the firm hiring from those campuses and all of that. I understand.
Of course, yeah.
But to me, I mean, that is the kind of exposure I was restricted to. And what I took away from that exposure was that to have that level of authority, but at the same time, that level of influence and acumen, this is the commonality that I can talk about or single out. And I really want to understand what this actually means. So that is how I got kind of introduced to the idea of MBA as a program, and then my own research, and then talking to people who have done it in my own peer group made me realize that there is value, be it the people, be it the learning, be it the experience of just going through all of this together in those 2 years is going to be worth an investment. So while I was considering all of this, I was on a project in London in 2019, I think in the summer of 2019.
No.
And one of my seniors had just exited McKinsey, and she had started her MBA at LBS. So she was supposed to start in August, as we always do. And I was supposed to leave and go back home. So we decided to meet before I go back and, kind of say my formal goodbyes. And so we met at the Volunteer, which is a pub like 5 minutes away from the campus. And this is where she introduced me to her cohort of people who were going to start the MBA with her. And I also got to walk around the campus and see it from the outside, at least at that point in time. So all of that was really fascinating to me. The city was fairly beautiful. And and to have a couple of people who are very close to me who have done the same thing as I am planning to do, which is an MBA after working at McKinsey for a few years, it put me close to the idea of doing it at LBS itself.
Got it. But that was 2019 and you've started in 2023. Why the long gap? Why not sooner?
Yes, that's a good question. Again, so I came back after that project and I started figuring out the timeline for me to, get all of those scores out of the way and then start working on my application for potentially, applying in the summer of 2020. And that will mean an intake in 2021. Now, two things. In July of 2020, this is after COVID has kind of taken over the world and you're at home. I did prepare for my GMAT and I got a score which I was not happy with at all. And to my earlier point of how demoralizing that whole process can be for you. You work very hard, you get good scores in your mocks, but then at the end, kind of all goes away when you look at that score on the screen. And it's not very close to what you think or what you thought you would get. So I decided to take a break, focus on myself and maybe not apply in that particular year itself. Apply maybe in the round 2 of that same year or maybe the year after.
Yep.
Whatever I went through in those months, I kind of worked on myself a lot to kind of enjoy what I was doing. I focused on my next designation at McKinsey too. I was enjoying the kind of projects I was getting. I was working on some of the best projects with some of the best clients across the world. And time passed by, and then I thought I'd apply in the fall of 2021, which is a year onwards. And just when I was about to pick up my studies again, this was end of April or start of May of 2021. So I think it was the third wave of COVID, which was the worst waves of COVID that we've had so far, and hopefully that's the end of it. But it struck my family pretty harshly. So it was a difficult time. My grandmother was in a difficult position, but she came out of it, thankfully. But my father really couldn't. So my father passed away in COVID because of COVID. And that was something that, you would have never really anticipated. And there are these things that come from nowhere, but you are never praised for it. But you kind of learn and you take it in your stride, and you should try to take it in your stride and, keep pushing your dreams even though there is adversity around you. And that is what my parents always taught me, and that is what I did. So because I had to take on the responsibility of taking care of my family, setting finances in order, making everyone else around me independent before I actually end up leaving the country, because I'm an only child.
Of course.
So that took some time. So what I did is I applied a year after the original plan that I had, which is in the fall of 2022. So applied in round 2 of the 2022 applications, when I had set up almost everything that I could with respect to banking, with respect to sorting the finances, with respect to making my mom and grandma fairly independent, with respect to, how they live their daily lives. And that is when I thought I'm ready. And I did apply after, again, toiling for a score, which I really wanted to, have with associated with my name. And I got it in the second attempt. So then after the application was submitted in the round 2 of the application of 2022, I received my admit in, I think, May of 2023, April or May 2023, if I'm not wrong. But this is broadly the timeline of how there was a delay in pursuing this program. But nevertheless, I really wanted to study, and I really wanted to move up amidst all the issues that you might have, because that's a part of life, and we have to always keep looking forward. And here I am.
With all those adversities, so happy to see you here.
Thank you.
Good job. Well done.
Thank you. It's sorry, please go ahead.
No. Complete thought.
No,
we're here to listen to you.
So I think where this comes from is the fact that I've always seen my family struggle ever since I've been in the world, because we are migrants. We were forced out of Kashmir in 1990. I was born in 95. But then ever since my family, I saw them work hard to sustain a life and not just add luxury to your life. Adding luxury to your life came in way later, when I had almost started my job, is when my parents started to kind of relax and unwind a little bit and live a little bit more than just struggle. So I've seen them just compromise left, right, and center so that they could have a better life tomorrow. So I think that's the kind of mindset I absorbed by just kind of being around that kind of an atmosphere. And I think that added to my mentality of choosing this program, even though it's very difficult to manage everything. From here, for example, I'm still responsible for everything that's happening back home. So there are things that come out of nowhere, and I need to take care of them. So I do it remotely as much as I can. And at the same time, I'm happy that I'm able to justify my progress here at the MBA itself. But I think that is a trait that will stay with me forever. I think that's one of the biggest learnings that you can have in a life as a human being. So even though it was tragic and it was a difficult period in time in my life, and I've had a few of those, but I still feel you should keep smiling in the face of adversity and keep moving.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And, going back a little bit to in your, when I asked you about the role as a student mentor, you talked about, strategically applying to multiple colleges to reduce your risk. Is that something you did as well? Which all colleges did you apply to, and which all admits did you get?
Yeah, of course. So with respect to the application process itself, and I'll try to recall how I approached it. I'll give you a timeline of what I did and what I would recommend. They're not the same thing.
Yeah.
So, because after getting here, I also listen.
Hindsight. Yeah.
Yeah, so it never really is the same. So first of all, I did everything myself. I did not hire any consultant. I did not take anyone's help. Even though, having said that, I had a couple of wonderful people around me who helped me, just by being there and giving me certain advice on the essay that I've written or the questions that I answered.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a form of help that I did leverage. But otherwise, it was just purely my own effort. So after securing the score that I was happy with and working on my application, I focused on LBS as my target school and Kellogg as my dream school. Kellogg because it's a marketing focused school and I come from the growth marketing function at McKinsey and I really wanted to build a career in marketing, at least at that point in time for sure. But that's all that I did. I didn't apply to any safety schools or for that matter, any other kind of school, just these two. So it was either a dream school or the target school or nothing at all.
Well, I know we are at the end of our hour that we had appointed and said want to respect time. But really, thank you so much for taking out all this time and talking to us, talking to our viewers and audience. It's going to be immensely helpful for them. And I wish you all the success at LBS and beyond. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It has been a pleasure to speak with you to answer these questions. It helps me remember again all that has happened and all that I've gone through. And I'm very happy for the work that you're doing. I'm very happy for you to help people take that step forward in their journey towards having an even more illustrious career, if not, just study and just come back home and give back to the country that you're a part of. And at that point in our conversation, what I'd also like to say is that focus on the skills that you can take away from any course that you take on, and not just hard skills, but soft skills too. Just focus on what is it that you have to offer as a value proposition. And if you are someone who's I'm not that person, but if you are someone who's very clear on the industry you want to break into, the kind of company you want to work for, already start talking to people and understand what is it that they look for in someone and try to build that in your time at an MBA program or a master's program or anything. But just try to be sharp with respect to adding those skills to your set of skills that you already have.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Well, thanks again and I wish you all the best.